Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Welcome to Girl Talk 101. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. I'm super excited to introduce to you guys my next guest, author W.P. Sunshine. She's one of my newest authors with the N.D. Miller publishing family. W.P.'s government name is Shonda Wood, so you'll hear me refer to her as Shonda. However, to find her book, you'll want to look under her pen name. The information for her book, Finding My Way Back, Life Still Holds Happiness, is listed in the show notes. I just love when God gives us divine connections, and this connection was confirmed to be divine. Both Shonda and I needed each other and connected at just the right time. She'd experienced great loss and had a word from God to write her story. Just like many of us, she initially fought against the assignment. I'm sure that even if you don't feel called to write a book, you'll relate to her journey. Shonda's testimony is one of overcoming devastation, losing loved ones, having to carve out a new normal, and learning God in a deeper way. She didn't allow her trials to set her back. Instead, she learned how to, once again, find happiness. Now, sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk 101. I am your host, Nicole D. Miller. I am honored and excited to introduce my next guest, the one and only Shonda Wood Paul. Hi, Shonda.
Hi, Nicole.
So, Shonda, tell our audience how we know each other.
Oh my gosh, this is so heartfelt for me. Nicole and I met through a reference. In the middle of me trying to finish my project, my baby, um, someone referred me to Nicole, and I was hesitant. I thought about, okay, like who is going to be my publisher for my book, baby? And I took that leap of faith and I reached out and said, okay, let me call this young lady and breath of fresh air. When I tell you all, I was like, she was heaven sent to me. So you were heaven sent, Nicole.
Oh. Which is wild because for me, you were heaven sent. And at your book launch, I got to share, and I've told you this before, when you and I connected, it was a very difficult time in my career. I was very discouraged. I was dealing with a lot of bullying and hardships. And then meeting you was like a breath of fresh air. I just couldn't believe you existed. Your spirit was so sweet and so kind and was just ministering to me. And I am very particular about who I work with. That's the other thing. So I hadn't published anyone since Ari, and I had several consultations and people that were interested, but I never had that go on my spirit. But with you, it was like, yep, this is it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I told you about, I saw the photo with you and Ari, and you had was the purple background. And I had a dream years ago when God brought this obedient task for me to take care of finding my way back. And I saw the purple in my dream. I thought I was supposed to be the one wearing purple. But when I saw you and Ari in the purple, I said, okay, Lord, you were trying to tell me that this is my publisher.
Powerful.
Yes.
I love that God speaks to you that way. He definitely speaks to me that way as well. So I resonate with it. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. So, what is the name of your book so our audience knows?
The name of my book, baby, is Finding My Way Back, Life Still Holds Happiness. Just to say that I do not go by my Shonda Wood Paul, my government. I go by my pen name, which is WP Sunshine. So did a little snazziness, took the Wood Paul and did the WP and Sunshine. If anybody knows me, I love the sun. I feel like sunshine is what we look for, peace and happiness always. And it's just so, to me, it's a great fulfillment. I just love the sun. Anybody knows that. So yeah. And they say I bring that in my personality. So
You definitely do. Now,
thank
you
you.
said God told you to write your book. How was that experience? How did you hear God? Paint the
Mhm.
picture for us.
All right. So if you all know my professional background, some of you probably know my professional background is I'm a director of revenue cycle, and I for the company is called Reserve Care, formerly known as Hospice of the Western Reserve. And the years of me working there, it's a hospice back, that is the mission is taking care of our patients with the terminal illness. So I'm in a cubicle setting. I'm in the office, and God gets a hold of me and tells me, write your book. And when I tell you, Nicole, I think I shared this with you, it was just so powerful. And it grabbed me to where I got choked up. And I immediately told the other ladies in my office, since I had two ladies that were in my office telling me at that time to write my book as well. So I run outside. It's a sunny day, and I stood in the corner of the entrance of the door of the building that I work in, and I just start crying emotionally, hard tears. And I think at that moment is when I realized that I was fighting against it. I was fighting against the assignment that I was supposed to have been in on. And I think at that time, I think he says, you know what, this time you're going to listen to me. And that's when I just got this peace over me. Just do the work, girl. Just do it. Yeah.
Wow. Why do
hmm
you think you were fighting against the assignment?
because I didn't want to visit that lane. I was feeling like I was coming away from it, but to put myself into this this assignment, I want to have to go back and revisit that pain, revisit that those nights of feeling sad, those days of feeling sad. It's just the memories from it. But it was doable. A part of me of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I may have shared this. I wrote my very first book, How to Overcome Heartbreak, and had a very similar experience as you. I was in a
hmm
cubicle working, and I was working on my blog, and I was reading someone else's blog, and their blog was about heartbreak. And I thought, why have I never written my story? So in 10 minutes, I spit out this blog, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love. As soon as I hit publish, the Lord said, that's the name of your book. That's the name
mm
of your first book. That's what he said. And I was like, no, but I couldn't leave. It wouldn't leave me. And I
Yep.
went to the gym and I'm running around the track. And as I'm running around the track, pieces of it are coming to me to
hmm
where I know what I'm going to write. So he gave me some other confirmations, but it was
hmm
very similar to you. It would be like being in the cubicle.
hmm hmm Yep. And I'm serious. When I tell you that from that point on, when I let my guard down and said, you know what, God, take me, just use me, because that's what it was all about, me walking into what my purpose is about. But I did it in pieces because I would be driving home or wherever in the car or whatever I was doing. I started utilizing what this smartphone that they call smart. So I would open it up and I'm at the light and I would think like people are saying, what's going on with that lady over there? Is she crazy? Because I have my phone and I'm talking in my phone saying, this is going to go in chapter 2. This is going to take this and put this here. And I would be, when he gave it to me, I immediately, even if I was in meetings, I would have my phone and I would type it in the notes. I started using this phone so I could keep track of where it was going to land. And then when I got home to finish it all up, it just flowed. So hold on to it. If anybody's trying to write, that's another little tip there.
Now, tell us about your book. You said you were scared to deal with the vulnerability of it. What is the
Mhm.
content? What is in this small but mighty story?
Yeah, yeah. Um, Finding my way back. This story, this is a journey. I don't want to call it's multiple losses that I've experienced. Heartfelt, the loss of my first husband, the loss of my mom, my dad, and then also identity. I lost my identity because when you face loss, you lose the person that you lost, but I also lost myself. So, being a daughter for years and being um, a wife for years. And so I got to a point in my life where I wanted to share my journey with others on how you find your way back. And what I realized too is that the feedback that I've got from people that have read this book so far, you have to read this book in pieces, in small doses, because it's going to take the reader back to a point in their life, but it's also going to bless them. I don't have any answers, Nicole, to how to do this. I just share how I did it, and that was with my faith. Um, Me just saying, you know what, I'm going to sit in this thing for a little while because grief, it takes time. You can't, you can't scratch your way. You can't do it quick. It's not a fast recovery. Can I say today that I don't go back down that lane? I do, but I just want to tell everybody that, don't give up. And that's what I'm trying to tell my reader in this story because it is definitely a roller coaster. You and I cried reading this thing through the editing phases. So I still feel like I have more to share um, with others with this book because God is going to eventually have me put together a workbook for this book. Hmm.
And you touched on how your identity changes after these types of losses. When my mother transitioned in 2018, it was like the floor was removed from my feet.
Hmm.
And I would say it took a
Wow.
good 6 years to heal, but of course, I miss her every day. You've
Absolutely.
lost parents and a
Hmm.
spouse, and a
Hmm.
spouse you become one with. I know
Yes.
for me, it felt like I lost a limb. It felt like I'm hobbling around in the world without a limb. So I
Hmm.
can't imagine what it's like to lose your partner and then
Yeah.
regroup from that. What
Hmm.
are words that you would offer someone in that space?
Um, I think like you said, the words, there are a lot of words. I think one more, the one that I can define for myself is my walk with God. You know, I can't, ask anybody what is their foundation, but faith is my foundation. And I had to figure it out with the Lord, you know, and learn not to be selfish because God knew him first and he didn't belong to me. He belonged to the Lord. So, but I thank God every day for the time that I had spent with him, but it took me some time to get there. So to share with anyone is to sit in it as long as you need to. It's no race. I have that in my book. This is my race at my pace. Figure it out the best that you can and you know how, because it's not always going to look the same as how I did it. So I think what I'm sharing right now in this book is there's some secrets to the secret to the sauce, the recipe. So becoming a widow at an early age, I felt like it was so unfair. I thought I did everything right. And how was I, um, feeling guilty because I feel like, why didn't I see something was going on with him? How come I didn't recognize, how could I recognize a heart attack was coming? So I just feel like, to tell anybody, don't beat up on yourself. You know, there are so many different words that meet the grief cycle. What is it? Bargaining, feeling guilty, and uh, regret, and all that. So you're going to visit all of those words on the grief cycle. So when you get to it, you'll know it because you'll start to um, feel like, I don't know what this is, but why do I feel this way? Mm-hmm.
And then you touched on, you lost him suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
which that was my experience with my mother. And I know that that's a different experience than someone
Yeah.
walking
Mm-hmm.
out long suffering too. So
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with like the
Yeah.
shock.
Mm-hmm.
How did you navigate motherhood as you're grieving and dealing with this loss and this sudden loss?
Um, Trying to think that I had it all together. Those eyes are watching me, still trying to figure out, well, what's for dinner? How am I going to maintain a home of finances? We were running a home with two incomes, and then here I am trying to. Okay, well, I didn't have that bill before, but now I got now I got that bill. Some households are ran differently, so where it's a 50-50 split, or I didn't have to do everything. Some things I had to do, some things, but being in a partnership like that, this was a marriage. So to suddenly lose him from watching him dance in the kitchen to him not being around later, hours later. So my children had to watch me evolve. I don't think they realized how strong I was. I didn't either. Um, but letting them see their mother be weak because they need to know, life is going to, um, people are going to pass away. So they needed to understand how you deal with grief. Hiding it was probably not the best choice. It's not healthy. So yeah, just letting them see mama how she was, scarf on, scarf off, sad, just whenever and however. So yeah, but I think it's built their character because they had to see it. Now, did they have to experience it? No, it's in my book. I feel bad that my children had to lose their dad at an early age. And my son at the time, he was only, what, 15, 16 years old. So yeah, but I think strength came from above. I think you know that. You say you lost your mom too.
Yeah, and I so appreciate your heart to be authentic in
Hmm.
front of your children. I think that there's an old school mindset in the Black community of
Yes.
like
Hmm.
appearing tough and not
Hmm.
sharing, how you're really feeling, but then we don't
Yeah.
heal.
Yep.
And part of the healing comes from that authenticity.
Yeah. I don't think it's a great thing to do because I grew up like that. Mom, didn't show how she felt a lot and always had to be strong in front of us. So, we have to break those generations. The generational supposed to be like, it's supposed to be like that. So yeah, at this point, I think I'm trying to just be open and transparent to my children. I'm trying to set the pace so that they can see it with their own children. Yeah.
Now, you said it took you some time to write your book.
Hmm.
What was the time frame from, losing your spouse to actually writing the book?
Um, 2015 is when he passed away, and God gave me the message to write the book in 2018. And I believe that people were telling me to write the book, not only trying to encourage me, because I think within that 3 year span, they were starting to see me heal. They saw where that crackle wasn't in my voice anymore, and they saw me being able to stand up straight. Because at a point, I walked with my head down. I had I didn't have confidence anymore. I was just like, woe is me, woe is me. And when I look at other women who have experienced it and they have found themselves again where, well, how I was looking at it. They have found themselves again. So it was a 3 year timeline. But 2018, I got the message to write it. So I started putting together an outline to do it. But I still took time in between that thing, Nicole. I still took gaps. I had some distractions. So I think I told you my number was seven. Seven was my number. So when I met you, um, I said, Nicole, I had to get this thing done at 25. And you were spot on because you're like, okay, well, I don't want to go against your your divine time. Because I said we were going through so many changes, but I said I want to get this thing published by 25. So I got the message in 2018, 2025. That's 7 years. 25, 2 and 5 is seven, right? 2 plus 5 is seven. So then I said, Lord, well, when am I supposed to be done? Because I felt like I could write forever. So he said, be done at chapter 7. I remember the night I was sitting here at this table and the seven came loud and clear. So when am I supposed to be done writing this? Seven. So it was all the cycle of completion all the way through it. I'm just so blessed that sometimes we don't listen, we don't hear those type of things. And I'm just so blessed that I had it. Sometimes you gotta listen and be quiet. And that's when I grabbed it. Hmm.
And I love it because as you're sharing your journey, I'm thinking about, okay, where was I in 2018? I'm dealing with the loss of my mother.
Hmm.
So you're hearing this word to write your
Hmm.
book. And that also was the year my friend's mother gave me a word that I will have a publishing house. So I didn't have the publishing house yet.
Hmm.
And when she gave me the word, I'm thinking, I'm a bookkeeper. And I'm grieving. I'm grieving and I'm a bookkeeper. I'm going to put this
Hmm.
on the shelf.
Hmm.
4 years later, her daughter is my first client. So, but it shows me, yeah. So that was
Wow.
wild. Yep. She's a good friend of mine too. So it shows me how God just orders
Hmm.
our steps and is doing
Hmm.
all these things. So you got that word in 2018, but weren't supposed to actually publish it for 7 years.
Hmm.
And to anyone in the natural, they could have been like, what you doing? Hurry up and publish a book. Hurry
Hmm.
up, hurry up.
Hmm.
But God's timing is perfect. And then he's
Yeah.
positioning me to be in a space where now I have more of a platform and, because 7 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for you. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I know you mentioned faith. What are some other tools and resources that helped you navigate your losses?
Well, I attended grief counseling. I still, a lot of people don't feel the need to do that. It is okay to go and seek counseling. Back then, I did it. My children, we also attended, but also reading. I find good books that are out there um, for the journeys of anybody that experienced loss. And there's scriptures and songs. You know, there's a script, certain scriptures you hold on to and songs. Also for myself, giving myself grace to allow myself to move through this thing. I think if you don't give yourself grace through this, I think that's one of my biggest tools. It's okay, Shonda. It's okay to have a down day. It's okay to not want to do anything. But most importantly, believing in yourself. Glance at yourself from time to time when you're going through those waves in the mirror, because that person is still in there. So don't lose sight of who you are. But I can hold on to a song in the scripture, or anything that most importantly is holding on to the memories. I think that's
That's
the
good.
key thing. Yeah.
Now, I know you said you were worried about being vulnerable. When we first looked at the first round of your book,
Oh, I knew you were
our
gonna go
editor,
there.
our editor, Piper, shout out to Piper, had a lot
Shout
of
out to
feedback
Piper.
about pulling out some more vulnerability. How was that process for you? What was eye opening? What did you learn through that?
I think that's, well, I want to do say shout out to her. Shout out to you, Okay, sir, because I never even met you yet, but I do want to say thank you so much because I think for me, that was also, I was scared again, not wanting to go back down there. But when I saw her scripts a little bit more here, tell me a little bit about this. And I think what she did was she helped me because I was still trying to tap dance on that thing just a little bit, just give it a little bit. So I think it was an eye opener, letting me know where pieces and parts of my life that I didn't want to revisit, but it was very helpful. It was therapeutic. This book was therapeutic for me, Nicole. Sometimes if I'm just, I think every woman has a stack of books on the side of their bed that they open up and that they read, their downtime or whatever. And I am so thankful that I can look in this book. This is my baby. And I am saying that I never thought in a million years that my own book is part of my books, my books at my nightstand.
It's
So
wild.
yes, it
It's a
is.
wild experience.
It is. So I think being vulnerable has had me look myself in the mirror like, okay, Shonda, let it out. It's still some more healing that needs to be in there. And I think too for myself, I'm proud of myself for even being able to do this. I'm like, wow, people are telling me, can you believe that you did this? How can you do this during this rough time and everything that's going on at your job? You put in a new system at work. And I'm like, I can do all things. We can do all things. It's just a matter of getting
Amen.
to doing it.
And
Yeah.
your book launch was lit. I mean, people showed up for you. It was lit.
Thank you so
You had
much.
the pink, you laid it out. I'm like, she ain't playing. She is not
Thank you,
playing.
Nicole. I think do you know I play in that thing with the young lady Jasmine? And shout out to Jazz. Yes. I planned I God even told me the venue that I was gonna use.
Oh, I love
I
that.
went to the wrong door of this building. Let me tell you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I go and look for a venue because you and I were having our meetings. And I kept saying, I need to find a place. Shout out to Jenna because she tried to help me find a place too. And so I go to the building next door to where I had the launch. And I go in there and I'm like, this doesn't feel like the place. So prior to me landing and going to that place, I pulled on the door of where I had the launch. And Jazz says, she calls me Ma. She says, that's not the door you're supposed to be at. And I said, no, this is where I'm going to have my lunch at. She said, well, no, today our appointment is over here. So I get in my car and go around to the other building. And I said, well, Jazz, that's where I'm supposed to be. Because when I pulled the door, God said, this is it. I felt it. Yes. So
I love it. And you was concerned.
I
And you killed
know.
that thing. I'm like, I'm not playing with Shonda. She all worried and she done
I
laid this
know.
thing out.
I know. That's the key. Listen to what you just said. We spend so much time worrying about stuff, but God already be having it figured out for us.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word for me. So
Yeah.
as we close, life still holds happiness. What is
Yes.
happiness for Shonda?
Okay. Happiness to me is personal. You know, it's I think it's not the same for everyone. I think more so for me, um, it's peace, finding peace after all the pain that I've been through. And I think for a big takeaway for me is being able to smile again, you know, take a minute to know that tomorrow isn't promised, but today is what matters. So I think um I just want everybody to know is your peace is how you define it. Doesn't mean that the pain is gone, because it's tucked away still. So I think it takes time for us all to get to where we should be. But I think happiness to me is more so personal.
When you look back on your journey, do you feel like there was a turning point where you started to smile again, where you started to feel happiness again?
Yeah, I think that's probably more so the guilty piece. I remember the first time I started to laugh again and I started to feel lighter, like, it's okay. Because this new normal doesn't mean that I'm not taking those people with me because they actually made me who I am today. So I think I had to sit up and say, it's okay to move forward. I have a chapter called Review Reflections. So taking a glance, looking backwards doesn't mean that you're not they're not with you anymore.
And I appreciate you sharing the human part of it that we can still feel guilty when we start
Mhm.
experiencing happiness again.
Yeah.
I'm reminded after my mother transitioned, I had a few words of people glimpsing her spirit that she didn't want me to be sad.
Mhm.
So that was eye-opening for me because they're in glory, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they're in the presence of God with the fullness of joy. They don't want
Mhm.
us
Yep.
being sad because
Mhm.
they're not sad.
Mhm. Yeah. I remember a drive that me and my first husband had, and actually on the highway. And we had a conversation about if anything ever happened to me, and he looked over at me and said, I don't want you to be sad. He said, because I won't be afraid if anything was to happen to me. I won't be afraid because I know who my Savior is. But it's hard at the time when you actually in that thing. So it took time for me to get past. As I got through the pain, I remembered that conversation. So that was healing for me also. So like, you know
Yeah,
what? He told me that if something never happened. So I was like, he's okay. He was telling me early. That's what I'm saying. It's important that we listen because we never know when
exactly.
that small dose of that sentence or those small few words are going to come back and impact us later on.
Well, Shonda, thank you so much for your beautiful story. I am in awe of you. I'm in awe to be a partner, to be part of your journey. I can't wait to see where this goes. How can people find your book, learn more about you?
Of course, thank you for having me, Nicole. Well, WPSunshine.org is where you can find my link, and I am located. You can find me on Amazon. Um, I am looking forward to what God has in store for me. I am hoping that with prayer and dedication, I can take finding my way back into um, my passion for creating workshops and spaces where people can open up about their grief and healing. And I'm looking forward to working with not just that, life transition. Let's not forget about life transitions because a loss is a loss. So, but definitely Amazon and
And on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yes, I am on LinkedIn. I am. I have been using it for my personal profession, and now Jenna's like, okay, let's get you out there on LinkedIn. So yes, I'm so happy to be out there too.
And we're going to shout out Jenna at Blue Lou Studios, our
Yes,
go-to graphic designer who slayed the cover.
yes,
Shout
she
out to
did.
Jenna.
Yes, yes. So I am so happy for, like I keep saying, this opportunity because I'm just hoping that you and I can continue to do stuff together. I'm just looking
I
forward to
love
what
it.
God has in store for us. So
The sky is the limit.
sky's the limit.
Well, till next time, I'm sure we'll see you back at the Girl Talk platform. See your next
Yes,
endeavors.
yes, yes, indeed.
All right, guys, make sure you tap into WP Sunshine's website, book, all the things. We'll see you next time. One of the powerful statements Shonda shared was that she didn't just lose loved ones, she lost her identity. Can you relate? Anytime we have a tragedy, it impacts how we view ourselves. Our expectations of life suddenly get altered, and we need to grieve those unrealistic expectations. Shonda says that grief takes time and it's recovery. I wholeheartedly agree. I've talked to you guys a little about my journey grieving the loss of my mother. I would say it took 6 whole years for me to heal, and even after that, I still miss her every day. It's just not this burning hole in my heart like it was for 6 years. In our conversation, Shonda and I talk about the difficulty of losing a spouse. I can't imagine, as a spouse is the closest person to you. I was so inspired by Shonda's perspective that she had to recognize that her husband belonged to God first. She had to learn not to be selfish from his passing. She had to give him back to God. Wow, what wisdom! Now you guys could see why I chose her to be on my team. Some of the practical hardships that Shonda dealt with during this loss was switching from 2 incomes to 1. Suddenly, she had financial burdens she hadn't anticipated. She was still a mom and had to parent alone on top of dealing with her grief. She is truly a powerhouse of faith. Another nugget I took away from the conversation is how intentional God is with his timing. As we mentioned, God put this book on Shonda's heart in 2018, but it wasn't until 7 years later that she published it. In 2018, I was dealing with the loss of my mother. I would not have been ready to publish her. The wild thing is that in 2018, I did get a word from my friend's mother that I would start a book publishing company one day. God truly has a plan and orders all of our steps to cross each other's paths at the perfect time. I hope you're encouraged by Shonda's resilience, faith, and ability to overcome. Check out the rest of her story in Finding My Way Back, Life Still Holds Happiness. As Shonda shared, my encouragement to you, friend, is if you've experienced loss of a loved one, hold on to the memories and find ways to keep your loved ones alive. That's all for now. Until next time, and remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at indiemiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDMiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.